Hey everyone, welcome to the Spring 2015 North American Challenger Series Playoffs. I'm David Frigturley, and alongside me is the most respected man in League of Legends, Aiden Zyrene Moon.
Thank you.
April Fools, what a freaking chump. After a hard-fought regular season, 4 Challenger teams have made it into the playoffs, and yesterday, the semifinals kicked off. Second place TDK defeated Team Fusion 2-1. TDK are now headed into the Challenger Finals next week on April 8th, and they will face the winner of tonight's match between NME Esports and Final 5.
Whoever loses tonight's best of 3 will take on Team Fusion in the third place match on April 7th. At the end of these playoffs, first place will replace Team Coast in the Summer North American LCS. Second and third place will battle Team Dignitas and Winter Fox in the Summer Promotion Tournament for a chance to win their spots.
And this season is quickly coming to an end, but it's not too late to join the LCS studio audience this spring. You can experience a game from our Battle Arena live and see the newest NALCS team in action.
Ooh, Battle Arena, I like that. The Spring Challenger Finals will take place on Wednesday, April 8th, live on the LCS stage here in Los Angeles. Just go to lolesports.com/tickets to grab your seats before they're all gone. You can see how many people are there.
It's going to be a whole bunch of fun. I'll be there, so will he, unfortunately. Today's best of 3 matchup is just about ready to begin with Final 5 going up against NME Esports.
Smack me in the face, got to smack me in the pride, too.
Easy. Yeah.
Easy.
Face is all you got going for you. That's all. That's your entire pride.
At least I had that going for me.
This guy's good. He's a joker. So let's talk about side choices, of course. NME Esports, they're the higher seeded team. As the #1 seed, of course. And so they get to pick their side for Game 1 and Game 3. They chose red side for Game 1. They chose blue side for Game 3. Final 5 just chose blue side for Game 2. So the first 2 games are going to be the same, and then in Game 3 they'll swap.
Yeah, and I assume that's because they come in with a strategy where if they go to that third game, they're going to want that first pick power pick for themselves on enemy's side.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what these guys actually pick for themselves, but let's go to checking out the starting lineups. In the top lane for Final 5, we'll start with the blue team here, is Rux. And Rux is a player I have had such high hopes for the last year and a half, and every time it feels like he just can't quite put enough out here. You can see his CSD is actually a bit negative, his kill participation a little bit low on Final 5 here overall. He plays a wide variety of champions, carries and tanks and whatnot, but he just never quite lives up to his own expectations either. He actually expects a lot more of himself as well, and I want to see if now with the pressure on, he steps it up a notch.
And I want to talk about the next man on this Final 5 roster. It's the jungler Impaler. Since Impaler joined the team, they're 0-4 with him, but his scoreline is really good, and he sets his team up with a lot of pressure early on, and that's how they're going to beat NME today, is Impaler outplaying Trashy in the jungle and hopefully giving his team an early lead. I also then want to move over to their mid laner, Gate. Now this guy is very consistent. He stays in the mid lane though. He's not going to solo kill people in lane. He's not that type of star. He likes the types of champions that are going to roam about later on in the game. The Zed, the Kassadin. He likes having an impact later. So he is usually not the recipient of the ganks from his jungler, which frees up the side lanes, typically their bot lane, to get that help from Impaler to manifest their lead there. And if they get behind, he's still going to be relevant because he didn't get behind in lane himself.
Absolutely. I actually really want to see Gate on a signature Twisted Fate. I think the screen name kind of explains that pretty well,
also
actually.
Likes Jace, too. 2 different types of Gate.
That's true. But I think it's going to be good for them to have this style because their bot lane is something that I think has a lot of attention on it. I want to talk about their AD carry here, Veritas. Veritas has had an actually abysmal laning phase. You can see his CSD is incredibly negative. His KP, though, incredibly high. 77% of his team's kills, he's a part of that. His scoreline, 49-27. The fact that they're getting all these losses, but he's dying so little relative to everyone else. Veritas is very good. He just has to get out of lane. You can see that Kog'Maw game in there. Got crushed in lane. They built to protect the Cog comp, and it didn't work out because of the laning phase. If Veritas gets out of lane, his team's going to do well.
Yeah, he's definitely up there. He was #1 in Challenger for a very long time. Sits around between #1 and 3 at the moment. And he's actually gone through 3 different supports this season. And I want to talk about his current one right now. It's going to be Sheep filling up that support lane for him. Sheep was a guy who's also 0-4. He came on at the same time that Impaler did, but he's a very aggressive laner. He's known for his Leona, his Thresh, his Annie. He needs to unlock Veritas with the help of Impaler, the 2 guys coming over from Coast, to get that star AD carry into that star power part of the game where he can get that kill participation even higher by having good team fights for him.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I think an overall story of Final 5 is they're just team synergy. They've only played 4 Challenger Series matches with the new lineup with Impaler and Sheep coming over. We'll see if they can keep improving as time goes on. But Final 5, we'll see them in a bit. Going to start talking about the other side, though. NME Esports are starting red side for games 1 and 2, and NME Esports, they're the team favorited to win the entire Challenger Series. They went 9-1 during the regular season. Their top laner, Flares, high-risk player, but it works out for him. You're actually going to notice the entire team has really low kill participation because they solo kill people so often.
Yeah, he's another guy that solo kills people in lane, or he'll die in lane and get solo killed. But he'll end up 0-4 on Hecarim, and then he'll start coming back just by split pushing and killing the top laner. It happened against Rux last week. That was the matchup where that went down. So he's up against him again this week. We're going to see more of the same. I don't know.
We're going to have to find out, but let's move on to the jungler here on this roster. Trashy has been absolutely great for the team as well. He's playing mostly aggro champions, the Rek'Sai, the Lee Sin, the Vi, even after 5.5 hit the Challenger Series last week. He's still going for the fighter junglers. He's still trying to bully people out and get early leads for the team.
Yeah, when I talked to him and asked him about tank junglers, he wasn't completely sold on them just yet because of the fact that he can get his team an early snowballed lead with these aggressive junglers, and then they can close it out from there without having to go into the late game or stall out and wait for that period.
Yeah, and this guy's overall really great. And speaking of another amazing player, I would say actually the best performer in Challenger this split is Inox in the mid lane. He is a top laner turned mid laner. He averages 1 death a game, which is ridiculous. He's been so great on mostly assassins. His Ahri and LeBlanc are his most impressive. His Nidalee is what he's famous for. He just basically never gets the champion. Yeah,
it always gets banned from him, but when he does get to play it, he has a stellar performance on it. Inox, definitely, like you said, the biggest performer right now in Challenger. Amazing that he's got such a huge champion pool, and he's so good at all the champions he seems to pull out. The assassins,
he's good at the role.
I know, exactly. The assassins, the long-range mages, whatever he picks up, he's really, really good on, and he's a threat. Also with Trashy at his side, but he also showed that he could pick up a game when they had the sub of shorter race too.
That's true. Inox has been great. Another player who's been absolutely amazing, and the scorelines show it, is their AD carry Otter. Just a lot like Inox, where he just is routinely consistent. You can see even his laning phase is really strong, and I really like when they put him on champions like Tristana, these more early mid-game oriented champions, because they already win the laning phase. He can knock down turrets and get more of a lead for the team with this.
Yeah, highest CS differential at 10 out of all the AD carries in the Challenger Series right now. But I want to talk about the other half of the bottom lane. It's Body Drop rounding it out for Otter. This was a guy that was handpicked by Otter, and they both have exactly the same kill participation. Body Drop has played 7 Morgana games, 2 Janna, 1 Thresh. Every time that champion's open, he will go for it. So I expect that to be banned today because he's seen so much success on it.
Yeah, I really, actually, my favorite bottom lane in League of Legends is Kalista Morgana, and it's a champion that both these guys like to play a whole lot because she's so short range. After you ult her in for the knockup, she's still in ult range, whereas like Annie's like, oh, I have to like still walk forward the Tibbers, or like Sona, like you can miss the crescendo. Morgana's like super free, and by still being ranged, she can still trigger the W procs. I really want to see that bottom lane. I think it's incredibly strong and incredibly powerful. And so we've talked about the players. We can talk a little bit more about the team. Now, we talked about Final 5 a little bit in that we're saying early game aggression, keying mostly off of Impaler seems to be their big ticket in here, especially still being a bit of a new roster. We have to see how good their synergy really is as they continue to grow as a team.
Yeah, Impaler has a lot of faith in that, though, because when we talked to him last week, despite being 0-2'd by, or I guess 2-0'd by NME, yeah, he was still very kind of confident that they would come back in a best of 3.
Yeah.
I mean, if you get 0-2'd in a best of 3, you're out.
Right.
I don't know how much is actually placed on that in terms of like how much he thought that the games being spread out was kind of to their detriment.
Yeah.
But right now he's going to have to play back-to-back games, and if they can just pivot and champions like very quickly, if they give up a game, it's going to be rough though, because they are big underdogs in this for Final 5.
They are massive underdogs, but as we saw over in Europe, I mean, Reason Gaming nearly took out Origin, and they actually won the first game here, despite that being, I would say, almost a more one-sided match on paper than this one. So when it comes to game day, anything can happen. NME Esports, yes, they're the favorites, but it's how you perform when it matters here. You're going to see the first picks and bans coming through. Flares just removing carry top laners. Rumble's gone, Hecarim's gone. The Morgana from Body Drop, as you called, makes a whole lot of sense here. Meanwhile, a different split of champions. You said Trashy not really liking the tank, so first ban Sejuani, no reason to contest it.
Yeah, just take it out of the champion pools of the guys. Yeah. And that's also a big thing, too, is NME Esports. Another thing of why they picked red side, I think, is because they get to ban the Sejuani red side and not waste a blue side ban on it.
That's true. I suppose there is some
because they're not going to first pick it if it's left open.
Yeah. Well, Nidalee, though, first picked away by Final 5. They realize Inox wants this champion a whole lot, and Final 5 not going to let him play it.
That's
Smart.
really good, though, for Impaler, because he wants an early game champion that's going to unlock the jungle for him, and it's really hard to duel a Nidalee early on. Trashy is, he might have to pick up a tank here to try and outscale her at level 6 and have that type of pressure, because it flips, because Nidalee doesn't have an ultimate that levels up with this level 6 that has a huge impact on her power.
Yeah.
But the fact that she shows up to a lane at level 6, the counter ganks are usually in the other person's favor.
Right, yeah. I mean, she does have some benefit from ranking the ultimate, but
well, of
more
course,
like...
everybody does. I'm just saying the power spike difference is much lower.
I more meant it to explain it to kind of further. I agree with you completely. It's more like getting from 6 to 11, right? Like hitting 1 to 6 is like, yeah, my spells are better, but it's not like, I have an ulti, cool, my champion's different. She starts that way. So just adding more fuel to the fire here. Saber coming in for Otter. I like the team fight power. Flares on a carry top laner. We expect him to do well, but final 5, getting them the Urgot here. Everyone's loving this champion now.
Yeah, so Gate's a guy who has a solid laning phase every single time we see him, but he's not going to solo kill you. Now,
it could be Veritas.
It could be Veritas, but the frequency of Urgot at 80 carry has been kind of low. We've seen it in Korea, we've seen it a little bit, but I'm pretty sure that's going to go into the mid lane, because right now, the way that Urgot stands in the meta is he counters a lot of champions, he counters a lot of AD mids.
Yeah.
But people haven't found the counter for him outright yet.
I know Cho'Gath seemed to be considered a decent one there, where we saw the matchup getting picked in, and it went pretty okay. The thing is, the more I think about Urgot and Thresh against Sivir, though, is what do you get a spell shield? You can block the Urgot E, but then you leave yourself open to Thresh. Either way, see what the matchup ends up being. Gragas jungle coming in for a Trashy here, so you're right, we are going to see a tank jungler come in here. We typically see him go Cinderhulk. Tank items, not Magus Burst like we see Cali Trolls play. And Annie support comes in for NME Esports with... Morgana band away.
It's another champion that he's really good at engaging on.
Yeah.
We haven't seen him on it, though. Body Drop has not played a single game of Annie throughout the entire tournament, throughout the 10 games that we've seen him. So the fact that he's going to have that, it's kind of similar to Morgana in lane pressure. You land a stun. It's a point and click. Little bit of a range difference there, but the fact that he'll have that for the lockdown alongside the Sivir means he's not going to play against a Sivir that can spell shield it.
Yeah, and the cool thing here, I want to see NME Esports pick a team fighting mid laner. Now, it's 5.6. Victor is actually still disabled right now for a bug on the tournament realm, so we're not going to see the Victor for Inox, but this looks like a big team fight comp. Sivir Annie has hard engage, Flares can play cleanup, Trash can help the engage as well, split the team up, and then create an opportunity for Inox to be the follow-up damage dealer. I want to see what that champion is here as Final 5 lock their lineup. You're right, it is Urgot mid. It's going to be Jinx here for Veritas, and since he seems to team fight so well, they give him a sort of team fight carry type champion, and Rex gets to play a big tank in the top lane where he can be consistent and powerful and set up team fights for Jinx to carry.
Yeah, and one of the things about Jinx is if you put resources into her, you're always going to see the payoff of it.
Yes, you are.
Because if Jinx is even, she's still in a good spot, but then she picks up kills later on, she can come back. But if you set her up for success from the beginning, she's just an absolute terror on the game.
Right, it's there's champions like Vayne and Kog'Maw and like Old Trist where like they're going to snowball later on in the game. Jinx actually can be a lane bully. Yeah. She's got so much power early on in the game that it gives you the ability to play just hardcore kill lanes. Now, Kog'Maw comes in for Inox here, and I want to assume it is AP Cog here, and you said, hey, what's the counter to Urgot going to be? How about adding even more range and not being caught out here? Inox on Kog'Maw here is going to be interesting. There is only one tank on the lineup. I'm like seeing the Nidalee and Sion switch back and forth. I expect that to be Impaler's Nidalee. You don't know it for sure, of course. But like AD Cog would not be what I would think this comp needs.
No, I don't think they need an AD Cog. It's pretty catchable and like position reverserable.
Yeah.
So I think it's just going to be a long-range poke champion. I mean, Inox, he loves Nidalee. He played a lot of Xerath in the Challenger Series. This might be another poke comp for him, another poke-type champion. So AP Kog'Maw's laning phase is all about wave clearing with the ooze, and then eventually getting your ultimate and having a tier, stacking that up, making sure that you can get through it. But against the Urgot, I don't know, Urgot has some good laning presence right now.
Absolutely, and the kill pressure of Swap and Nidalee is a guaranteed dead champion. There's so many easy ways to synergize. We'll see what happens, though, in the early laning phase and beyond that one. Now, guys, with the champions locked in, we want you to tell us who you think is going to win this match. Tweet hashtag F5win or hashtag NME win to @LOLesports. We will tally your votes in a few minutes, and we'll see who you guys think is going to win throughout this game. NME Esports, once again, coming in huge favorites. Game day is always the important thing, though. Upsets happen all the freaking time, and it is going to be a fun match all the same because the first 20 minutes I think will be explosive. It will be a close match, and that's going to determine a lot of this game.
Yeah, and also, even though there are new guys onto the roster of Final 5, Impaler and Sheep, they've already had the chance to play against NME. It's not like they're coming in without too late and being like, oh, we don't have experience against this team. How did you guys play against them last time? They were there. So they know some of the map movements that NME are going to make. They have a good feeling of how the players lane when they go up against them. And they have a good idea of what their champion pools are now at this point. So the stage has been set for this confrontation, barring from last week.
Well, confrontation in the mid lane. Trading blows early. Ooh, Gate's winning this trade, though. 3 Qs in a row. Inox getting destroyed here. It's the ward. All right, great. You should recall, homie. No way to stay in this lane. All right, so standard level 1s in the mid laners show up and put aggressive trinkets down to try to watch rotations. Trashy getting invaded on will not. Oh, man, that was close. Final 5, don't take that one out. And Impaler started W.
Pro tip, if you are Nidalee, transforming is an auto attack reset. So you can auto R, and it's an instant 2 hits.
Yeah.
You can actually instantly kill wards by auto R, auto attack Q in Cougar form.
That's true.
Auto R, boom Q.
Yep.
It's very, very instantaneous.
Well, Impaler right here, though. We don't see this almost ever from Jungle Nidalee. Started with traps here.
You see it sometimes.
You see
it sometimes. They want to set up the traps throughout the jungle. Yeah, I've seen a decent amount of Nidalees actually do it. It doesn't hurt your clear that much. Your first clear is just
slightly slower.
Yeah, and you still get the root and auto attack because it puts on the hunt on them.
Right. Let's be the case here, and Impaler is going to go do some early damage to this Gromp, get a leash from Veritas as Final 5 have lane swapped, and with Veritas leashing, Sheep actually builds the freeze. Looks like the same thing happened, though, for Otter, so 2-on-1 lanes.
They had a ward in the top lane, though, so they saw Sheep come into this from enemy's side, so they knew that this was happening, and Body Drop immediately doesn't have to help with the freeze. He goes and he checks the jungle to make sure that the red is there, and that nobody's starting on that side of the map.
Looks like Rux will get a nice, easy, quick, clean kill on the Direwolves. And that's going to be fine. Okay. Level 2 signed. We'll see if he teleports into the lane. It looks like, actually... Yeah, no, the lane will be frozen, but the way that people build freezes right now, the first few waves are actually pretty easy to gain experience off of in the bot lane. And we are going to see Sion TP after all. These things, despite it being a freeze, will die in XP.
Coming around Gate.
Trashy gets the flash knock up there. Gate flashes away, but guess what? Flares is here, and one more attack's going to do it. Trashy with first blood.
That's the early aggression from the enemy. You see, not afraid to burn summoner spells to get a summoner spell from Gate and that first blood. That was a flash and a ghost for the flash to kill.
That's pretty worth it. +1 summoner for first blood. I'll take that any day of the week. And NME Esports continue to play aggressively. They're dual lanes in the bot lane. They feel pretty fine. They've already got 1 buff. They're trying to take Impaler's buff in the bottom side. And in fact, NME Esports have already set themselves up for a 3 buff here.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to. Once you kill that mid laner and the jungler comes to hold the lane, you know exactly where that Nidalee is. You can even wait in this bush and see if he tries to come through.
I would hope that he doesn't do it there. Impaler's got to know that side of the jungle is not his, but NME Esports not being punished for starting in the north jungle whatsoever. Get a lot out of it. Yeah, we kind of see the minimap scares, but Impaler cues it and says, that shouldn't have died to a javelin. That was injured.
Yep. Gets himself some information. They took his red, level 3 off of leeching the minions waves in mid. But the big thing here is the fact that Trashy is now ahead. We also have Flares not suffering from the lack of being in a lane. But Inox is also off the ground here. He still has an aggressive summoner spell available to him, and defensive, of course.
Yeah, and it's interesting to seeing how the lanes keep going on, though. As we talk about summoner spells, I want to talk about lane matches as well. See, Flare's been running around the jungle repeatedly as Aurelia for 4 minutes straight here. And the way this lane is set up, Final 5 could shove top lane into the turret and get a lot of turret damage because they're not being opposed at all. You get the same XP denial by letting all the minions die to the turret, but you also get turret damage down, which is just superior than the alternative. And if Relay does show up, you can make it freeze again without much issue, really.
But I think that the fact that Rux is sitting in the lane right now is good for them because Aurelia is just getting experience from roaming around with Trashy. So Rux is actually at a big advantage here, and the fact that them freezing is good for them on top for Final 5.
Yeah, well, I guess Flares is opting to double jungle as a result of the freeze all the same. And we'll see if NME Esports will get themselves the dragons. And we often see in lane swaps, especially with the support Sheep still top lane. He's just sitting there in a 2 versus 0 lane. he's not going to be in position to stop this dragon whatsoever. And oh, they're pushing it now.
Yeah.
They only now did it 5 minutes in.
They're pressing it now. He's going to lose a lot of experience.
They don't have a cannon wave in this one. It seems like a really odd wave to push. They did it one wave late.
Well, they also none of this is going to actually go over to Flares because he has to stay for this dragon.
Yeah.
So it's still a good move because it's just going to bounce off that turret. It's going to bounce maybe halfway. Flares will have to back and then TP to the top lane with whatever item he picks up from his early game.
Get like a ruby crystal, but
yeah, he'll get ruby crystal, a longsword or so.
See what the man wants to do. Ruby crystal, some wards and potions, okay. And he's going to walk to the lane here because the wave's already pretty much guaranteed to be denied. And I got to track what Final 5 are doing with the rest of their team comp, though. They didn't contest Dragon. They haven't found any ganks for themselves. It's just Impaler spamming the jungle here. Level 4 on him. Not having to share XP is keeping him above levels over Trashy.
Yeah, that early game splitting of experience and the fact that Sion is so good in lane swaps. Sion 2v1 so easily that Rux can just sit here, get a CS advantage, get a level advantage. He's 2 levels up over Flares, who just arrived to top lane. And now Trashy has to show himself top to relieve this pressure to allow his top laner to even CS.
I want to actually see this top lane real quick, though, as we talk about relieving pressure in the top lane. That's a good hook on the Flares. The Flay actually gets him off the choppers, but he keeps back in to tank him anyway. The thing is, this turret's at like 300 health right now, and Veritas finally does push the wave in. They do get the turret kill. That's why I was talking about pushing the wave in, because you get pressure for that. Final 5, as it turns out, just waited till Dragon was on the table, and yeah, that timing actually did work, you know, all said and done.
Yeah, they ended up getting the fast push on afterwards, and Flares didn't TP to the turret. Shows up, but he needs Trashy there at the same time. So that early Dragon from enemy cost them in the HP bars and also the positioning on the map that they gave up that top turret.
Yeah, I mean, all that time spent in the bottom lane. But the thing is, there was no way to push the bottom lane anyway. Rux was getting XP. He was high enough level that he wasn't going to get bullied out.
Against a Sion, it's really difficult.
That's what, yeah, exactly. That's just, I mean, it's good play by Rux, and it's a good champion for it as well. He wouldn't allow enemy to fast push. And you can see, like, Otter can do some damage, but these minions, they die basically in auto attack early, which means the turret just can't slay these. Or, sorry, they die so much faster that they don't do any damage back to the turret.
Rux hit that level 6, already has his ultimate.
Yeah.
This is the time that Final 5 should be comfortable making an aggressive move in the game.
That's true. They have a small gold lead for themselves. Their AD carry was able to farm really safely and is now recalled back for items.
Lead too.
Yeah, this is a big window for Veritas to do something great. You can see a small CS deficit of 2. Not a big deal, though. The gold lead from the turret kill gives him boots, which can matter, especially in a range disparity matchup like this one, Jinx versus Sivir. So I want to see if Final 5 can do something, as you said, with this duo lane.
It's the duo lane and Rux having that advantage over players at the moment.
Yeah, I do want to see aggression from them.
Rux got bullied around last time. He won the early game versus Flares, but then later on just fell to the wayside. Both these champions scale extraordinarily well in the top lane. Really have to keep tabs on that matchup because Sion is just so potent.
Nice stun for body drop and dodge the hook as well. That was actually, it's always so risky when you're like, Thresh could hook me. If he hooks me, I'm probably going to die or lose flash. I'm going to dodge this, and he does. Yeah,
Sheep did a really good job there of facing Otter and then throwing it off to the right. It looked like he was going to click it onto Otter, but he didn't, and he forced the spell shield too.
That's the thing about Annie lanes is that you really want to almost always aim for the Annie. Even though she gets her damage out at the very start of the fight anyway, she's just so darn squishy that you can go for her, and being immobile is a weakness that you can sometimes abuse. Hook is land though, bot lane holds equal so far. We watch back in the mid lane here, and Inox actually having a great start up against Gate. First blood obviously helps.
Oh man, the 3-man gank mid again?
Ooh, pink wards, they know that these guys are around. Flares will clear it.
That's going to tip off Final 5.
Yeah.
And enemy that is on this side of the map. So
they know where all 5 are of enemy esports.
They also know where all 5 of everybody is on Final 5, though.
Yeah, but it's the fact that they're on the bot lane, so Rux can do whatever he wants. Like, we have still yet to see Flares actually lane this game, from what I can tell.
Yeah, he went up and he lost his lane.
Rux is up 2 levels.
Yep.
That's a big freaking deal.
And it's a Sion, too, so it's not going to get any better. The fact that he puts so many points into his queue, his level scaling is absurd right now.
Yeah. One team's got a dragon and a kill, other team's got a turret, but there's a bunch of experience that matters as well. Inox, a late blue buff here.
Yep. Both these mid laners, the fact that it's an AP cog makes them very blue buff dependent and very tier dependent too. You want that stacked up as soon as possible.
Yeah, interestingly, Inox, we're seeing Tear the Goddess into an Amp Tome. Now that could be for Codex to build a Chalice, or sorry, an Athene's or a Melanomicon. It could be the start of Luden's Echo. He's not going Tier Roa. That's basically what I'm getting at, is that sometimes we see the double stacking build on Cog.
I assume it's going to be Athene's because Athene's is really good right now, but he doesn't have too much magic damage against him.
Yeah.
But you want a CDR item of some kind.
There's the hook, and the zap was already in range. That was really nicely played. The Sheep stun, though, meant he couldn't play. And a trade of Otter's ulti and body drops flash is a good thing for Final 5.
Yeah, really good. The fact that they don't even blow their flashes or their ultimates means that if they can get the right engage, it's going to be kills falling into Final 5's hands. But both junglers are now in attendance in the bottom lane.
He can flash Flay at any time, but Trashy snuck in. Veritas down to half health, has to be afraid. Sheep looking to lantern in.
Stuns up.
There's the anti-stun, Impaler's in comes Gragas, and Trashy gets the kill. Impaler has to flash out, and body drop could almost follow this one up for another kill. Not quite going to chase it down, but a great counter gank there by NME Esports.
Trashy knew that was coming with them having their summoner spells down on his side.
I mean, he already prepared it.
Definitely, they prepped it. They swept the bush, they warded it. They made sure that he had a way in there. From a long time ago, then they protected their territory.
Yeah, the body slam flash, second in a row, both of them giving kills over to Trashy himself and NME Esports.
The lantern backwards is a huge giveaway that there's somebody there.
Yeah, there was. But the thing is, he should have been able to force it, right? It's like, okay, Annie's got no flash. If I flash Flay you die guaranteed the Nidalee Jinx. Well, guess what? Gragas is there, counter engages it, and it was great play. Rux now versus Flares. It's a 2-level lead.
Rux has ulti still, so
yeah.
He forces the ulti from Flares. He's going to try to poke him down again and apply pressure, and he just waste all of his potions, all of his flask charges. Sion is still a big lane bully on this patch.
Nice spell shield by Otter. We're just going to see ward control remain. Good job keeping the pink ward up in Tri-Brush. One of the best wards you can keep as blue side duo lane. Just get a pink ward in that Tri-Brush and never let it go. If it dies, buy a new one. Keep that stuff dark. It's an easily protected ward, and it's a very valuable one. Pro tip to all the bottom laners out there. AD carry or support, buy one if one's not up.
Solo Q is going to thank you for that tip.
Similarly, if you're red team, just green ward it every time.
Yeah.
If you get ward control, if you ever get lane control back and they're stuck just in a turret, green ward that, clear the turret out, or the ward out. And just like fight over that brush is one of the biggest things you can do in the bot lane. And you saw them doing it here, and I think that battle will continue.
We get to see what Inox is starting to build with that Amp Tome. I'm very interested.
Sitting on 1,700 gold right now, so.
Okay, so it is a Morellonomicon.
All right.
All right, so he's going for the cooldown reduction, which I think is the right build.
Yeah.
On Kog'Maw, AP Kog'Maw, you want some type of CDR, and against this team, Athene's is not really going to cut it.
No. It's more gold for less AP, and like you get some mana regen. Like technically, Athene's and Tyr have synergy because you regen, you know, based on max mana essentially.
It's wasted combat stats on MR against this team.
And if you don't need the mana, you don't want to buy it, and if you doesn't need that, then it's not worth the cost. So
these two teams are neck and neck though. 13 minutes in. 2 kills to a turret is the big difference here, even in Dragons. And now Trashy, that's actually the enemy blue buff. He's taking Final 5's blue.
Well, NME Esports, they feel like the team that's like ahead on the map overall. It just kind of feels that way based on how they're playing. The ganks are working, the buff steals are happening, all that fun stuff. But the lanes actually kind of tell a bit of a different story. A really nice recall in from Veritas gives him, I think, the 80 carry 12-minute dream, which is Zerk Greaves and the 2 big attack damage items. He's going to be incredibly scary. Rux is still winning top lane and has a frozen heart now in time for any fight that might happen. It's only Gate who's a bit behind, but not terribly so.
Oh yeah, and the Frozen Heart shuts down that Aurelia's aggression by a big part. You get that item spike for yourself, you get your nice CDR and your armor, but against Aurelia it's even more effective because she's so auto-attack reliant.
Absolutely, and it's, you know, still no Triforce done yet for her. It's going to be a bit of an uphill road.
And here's the thing too about the Frozen Heart against Aurelia is this is patch 5.6. Aurelia's Equilibrium Strike has reduced damage, 48 max rank. It's pretty much 10 per rank has gone down. So it's maxing of the W now that happens on Aurelia. The E-maxing is not as common anymore. Because people used to do it for magic damage trades.
Oh, I see.
So the Frozen Heart's even more effective against Aurelia's.
Well, it looks like Rux does feel plenty effective. Level 9.5 here, and even though he's getting his lane pushed in, there's about 10 CS waiting for him to grab that, so he's still going to maintain a very strong level and gold lead. He'll hit 10 off this wave. Flare's barely level 9. Keeping that 1 level advantage here for Rux, and he's just free farming. I mean, keep in mind, like, you have an infinite health stacking champion here who's going to keep getting gigantic.
But here's the thing: is I would expect him to be higher CS up over Flares.
That's true.
They're very close, despite Flares having double jungle for the majority of the early game.
Well, he did come into lane actually at close CS. Like, Rux didn't get much in his jungle. It's mostly the XP lead. Is really what was paid off as.
EXP, he wasn't completely zoned.
Yeah.
And I do actually want to touch on the maxing of E versus W again.
Okay.
Because it's not I haven't fully exhausted that point yet. You can still max the E if you're getting gank assistance, is the thing. Because it's a very good tool.
You want the stun duration.
And getting the stun duration, even the slow duration.
Sure, that's good too.
Is worth it. So it's an actual trade-off now instead of just always maxing E.
Seems pretty smart, and so far we're seeing W max Aurelia. DPS going to be a good thing here. Now body drop once again. Trashy has basically got flash. They'll look again for the bottom lane.
Watch for the cask. Where is he going to land it? Oh,
Rux
behind
is
Rux.
flanking though. Turret going to get assaulted. Veritas gets bursted out right away and goes down. And Sion actually misses. Trash is going to walk away safely. Nothing happening here for these guys. Impaler's in the mix, but does nothing with it. Oh my god! Wow! What a shot, and they take down body drop.
Impaler with the spear, weaving it through.
Ridiculous.
Ooh.
Absolutely ridiculous.
He wouldn't have had to land it, though, if Rux had landed his ultimate. He just passed by them.
True.
He was regrouping with his team.
Goodbye, Jinx.
Oh, but hello.
Ooh.
Oh, wait.
Swap play?
Wait. Nope.
Inox gets away on that one. Nice try though, like the coordination, but Impaler's still getting a lot of burst down, and they will take down Inox. He should survive the explosion. He's got the heal available, I assume, and actually just hops right away. Wait, did Impaler flash for that?
Yeah, looked like it.
I think Impaler flashed to get away. I'm gonna back up and check.
He may have he flashed earlier. He didn't flash for getting away.
No, he flashed getting away from it. I'm watching it now.
Oh, he did, yeah?
He flashed the ulti, or the passive.
Just out of camera range. Yep.
I think his lantern came in like right then, so he probably didn't really have to.
Sometimes you misjudge the damage or you just don't want to risk it.
Yep.
I mean, it is a level 11 Kog'Maw.
Sure.
So the amount of, or level 12 Kog'Maw, so the amount of damage he would have done with it is 100 times 25 per level, so.
300.
300.
Plus 100 is 400.
Yeah.
Well, you do the math in your head, and that's what he had. So the swap comes in, but unfortunately, Inox Flash is left. But still, it's a slowed Kog'Maw. A lot of burst comes out from these two. If Baylor has 500 health, he would have lived.
Yep.
Yep.
Gotta calculate it in that moment.
How often does he really face, you know, a mid lane Cog though, who's over leveled? Oh, Rux comes in, gets one stun. Trashy forced to flash away, but knocks Rux back in. They just turn onto him, and down goes the Sion. He was engaged from the passive.
He was putting a bounce house there, was not able to actually do too much. That's going to cost him, though. That's this middle turret going down. Enemy are going to get a lead in this game.
Man, for Trashy, not like a tank junglers, his Gragas sure is impressive in this series. And the aggression for Final 5, they had some really good choices. Sion got a bunch of XP, Jinx got a turret kill, a lot of good things, but the gank power of Trashy is too much to bear.
Yeah, he's still playing that late game jungler as an aggressive type displacement jungler. So he's showing up to the lanes and trying to affect them as much as possible. You saw him use his body slam flash so early.
Yeah, almost every gank involved that in some way, and it's been great to watch. Trashy definitely putting on the carry pants this game and is just letting everyone else get ahead in this game.
Oh man, Righteous Glory for him too.
Oh, so wow.
He's looking to just get these fights. Sivir ultimate on top of Righteous Glory is actually one of my favorite things in the game.
It's so strong. You run ridiculously fast. We might see if Body Drop goes for the Lust Boy build of Talisman of Ascension as well. And looks like Impaler, though, will be able to get Scuttlebutt control in time for this Dragon spawn. So the question is, do Final 5 feel safe to contest this objective? Because NME Esports are starting to really control the map now.
They have good ward coverage on it at the moment from Final 5. They got the Scuttler. So they'll have a lot of things going for them at this Dragon. The big thing that isn't going for them, though, is the fact that Trashy has good displacement. They have the Sivir ultimate. Not up, though, for the rundown from Otter.
You know,
so
yeah,
some key elements here. I do think the Final 5 should just get in place to take this because they have an advantage here.
Well, let's see. TPs are equal. The top laner is going to be out of this fight for now. Recall comes from Aurelia. Flares might want to show up for this one as the lane is pushed enough to not threaten any turrets. Rux will walk away.
They push bottom though.
Nice, yeah. So Final 5 got control of the bot lane here, and NME Esports kind of prioritizing different spots in the map does give this away. Trashy will not be able to clear the pink ward away. And it's actually kind of a good sign then for Final 5 that they've been able to grab their second turret of the game, bring the game back within 2.5K.
They've been wrestling objectives slowly but surely back from NME. But NME now have control of the Dragon area. They're waiting for the Scuttler to despawn. They're waiting for these wards to time out and get their own control. And you can see the pink ward to see. Wouldn't be surprised if they start up right now. Trashy also has another pink ward in his inventory that he could place down in the pit, which is just 100% secure for them. But no, they're going to just check these brush. Final 5 are going to try to move in, but here's the thing is Sion's there engaged. It's going to be on Rux to get a good ultimate off.
Trashy bursts it down, gets the Dragon. Sion gets in for a bit, and Flares gets locked up. Annie ult onto the back line. Now, where's the damage going to come through? Big Jinx, but doesn't knock anyone down. And the first casualty is the Thresh. Now, Rux getting chased away as well. Otter's fairly safe. Dodges the zap and all as well. Final 5. I don't know if they have enough time to push down mid, but they did a decent amount of damage that maybe NME Esports can't defend this yet.
Yeah, that was a 1-for-0 in favor of NME. And they got the Dragon, too. So Final 5, they're going to try to push down this mid lane. Here's the thing is, NME, they do have 3 members still here. They still have good things available to them. Inox, he can just keep spamming his ultimate.
Yep. And Final 5, thing is, Final 5 had a decision to make. They could have contested Dragon, or they could have just simply rushed mid and guaranteed trading a turret for Dragon. They chose to contest, and instead of getting the trade, they lose a kill and get nothing for it.
Yeah. They could have shoved the Dragon the entire time, or shoved the mid lane the entire time. But instead, they just move in, try to get some pressure on here. Rux, he gets an okay ultimate off. He only hits flares, though. And then the follow-up and the recollapse from Otter is so quick due to the Sivir ultimate. They pick up Sheep because he's in the front line, but this is the thing, is once that Righteous Glory is completed, this is going to be an even bigger team fight advantage for NME, where they can use the Sivir ultimate to run backwards and forwards, and they can use the Righteous Glory if they want to engage even harder. And it's completed now for Trashy. He's sitting on that 100% kill participation. He gets to get his team into the fight very quickly, and allows the Kog'Maw to continue to advance as the front line does.
True, and this is looking pretty good for NME Esports. I'm still continually impressed by Trashy, who just is so far ahead. He's cashed it in for team utility. Right, Rush to Sightstone is still on 2 big completed items. Impaler just now finished Roa. It's just now stacking. It's actually at 0 at this time into the game, and has just so much room still to grow. Final 5 have a lot of waiting to do if they want to catch up in this game.
They just got Gates' transformation on the Muramana. Inox got his transformation, and it looks like he's working towards a Luden's Echo too on that Kog'Maw.
Could be Lichbane, actually.
That's true.
A good Lichbane user.
He's pretty good. You just have to get that distance with the W active.
Which you max second on Cog typically, I think, so we'll see if they go for that one. Flares, though, really in a bad spot, and Impaler and Rux make a lot of good plays. No ward control. Flares had really nowhere to go. His Q is up, resets again. He's just running out of here.
Here comes Trashy. Can Trashy disengage them and save flares?
Wow, yep. Jeez, this is getting rough, but Body Drop gets caught out there. Big Jinx Rocket gets one. Now can they trade? Back onto Otter and Inox. The answer is maybe a little bit, but Otter still gets a kill for this one. But it looks like a 3-for-1 in NME Esports' favor. Inox has Ghost on, but gets knocked up, and that will be a kill picked up. Now run away from the Voidooz. Sheep will live, so will Veritas, and that's finally a good fight for Final 5.
Yeah, puts them within 2K of NME, who are tournament favorites. So this game is not going the way NME had imagined from Champion Select into the loading screen.
Wow, only a 2,000 gold difference here. Very impressed with Final 5's mid-game now to find a fight that they could finally win. And F5 now looking to get themselves a bit farther ahead in the semifinal.
A lot of that was off of hitting that spike with Gate, hitting that Muramana, activating it, getting that extra damage off, and having Veritas there. Veritas is a huge part of their strategy, and the fact they got the swap in the hook onto Body Drop and just beasted him down. That flash forward also cost Otter his life. Rux TP'd
Great play by Sheep.
Rux TP'd in on that just to steal that kill.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually Veritas could have died without Rux's help, just because you saw how much damage Inox was putting out.
Yes.
But yeah, you know, the prior engage on a flare was knocking him low. One could TP, the other couldn't. That was kind of a nice factor there. But I gotta say, Sheep's play in that fight was actually quite nice. The hook onto Otter right away, then the flash play to keep the lockup onto Inox was very, very impressive. I just want to give him some praise for, you know, the new support on the team, making some good plays.
It was the back-to-back hooks, too, because he got Body Drop, then afterwards got Otter. And it was the follow-up that they needed, because if Body Drop could have just walked away, it would have been really bad for them, because they dedicated so much to it.
Could have easily been a 1-for-1, but it was a 3-for-1, and that's just nice things. So Final 5 have equalized the turret score. They have nearly equalized the champion kills as well. It's just the Dragon advantage that NME Esports holds right now. And I gotta see if Final 5 can keep this comeback going.
A lot of it's the CS advantage in that mid lane too. Almost 70 up for Inox over Gate. Gate was about 20 behind, and then it just kept growing and growing, and it hasn't stopped getting larger.
He's gonna try to steal this one. Trashy. Oh, Gate gets it, an early smite. Actually, a non-smite by Trashy. The burst comes out, making it a good thing for Gate here. Red buff Urgot.
Looks like he was just relying on the barrel explosion, but it's not an AP Gragas. He's super tanky, so he doesn't have that extra burst.
Yeah, well-timed Q by Gate, and he's going to sit on this buff, which is actually a nice person to have it. Jinx is the ideal, but it's really not that bad on Urgot there. Auto attacks will apply it. Acid Hunters will not. They do not apply on hits. But you'll still get some autos. You'll keep people perma-slow. It'll be a happy time. Quick wave clear. Rux can one-shot minions, casters minions with his Q. Big tank items there. Frozen Heart now, a Banshee's Veil added, so good luck getting through this Scion, and if he chooses to be disruptive, it will be difficult for NME Esports to deal.
And the Dragon in 15 seconds. Both teams have okay vision over it. Nobody has vision into the pit just yet. So they need to move in. No pink wards in the inventory for Final 5, though. They can't sweep vision. They only have Sheep with 1. To the 2 plus the upgraded sweeping lens of Body Drop.
Yeah, well, there's 2 sweepers off cooldown right now. They're for Final 5. We'll see what they choose to clear away from. They'll catch 1 thanks to the upgrade of Impaler, and they go right for the Dragon right away. You can see, though, Aurelia has teleport. Flares could join, but they will not get there in time. Dragon 2 goes cleanly to Final 5, and they are really clawing their way back into this game.
Very quick Dragon there, very decisive call. And also the fact that Enemy had not set themselves up with proper vision around the pit or in the pit.
Yeah.
They couldn't see that coming. After it got swept, they were afraid to come in because Flares wants to split push this and cause pressure.
Exactly. It's been good. NME Esports, though, they make the play to go to the left-hand side. Final 5 are aware of this, but will they get there in time? All 5 NME Esports are here. They go for the blue buff first. They've got the wave into the turret. Inox will be the last one to the party, but already this turret's taken health. Here comes the Rux ulti. Will they get what they want? Flares will get stunned. The hook's going to be good as well. Flashes out safely, but the re-engage comes in. Nice rocket. Now, where's the follow-up? A bunch of CC comes in. NME Esports going to get away.
Sivir ultimate right there, helping them get away. Trashy, popping the Righteous Glory. It only helps you when you're moving towards people.
But, you know, in case you want to turn around, it was there, I guess. Who knows?
The option was there. Big thing about that was they had to take that fight to get them off the turret, because one thing that this Final 5 roster, or at least this lineup, in terms of what they've drafted, is bad at, is wave clear. It's just Jinx.
Yeah.
They don't have any other types of wave clear.
Scion can like yell at minions and press Q, and he's tanky enough that he's not going to get destroyed for it, but it is a riskier wave clear when you could like get Gragas into the team and your life becomes pain.
Yeah, you'll clear a wave if you have both them together, though, very quickly. If you're firing a Jinx rocket on top of whatever Scion has E'd, but Scion, Q, E combined, he has to get both them off, and the Q has to be fully charged for him to clear a wave.
Those can all be difficult things. Flares, though, just kind of stylish wave clear, I guess, for him. Spams R. Q actually missed a CS, so it's on cooldown right now. And he... all right, good. So, split push farm is going to Flares a lot, actually. Rux has been getting less and less farm over time. Enemies have been prioritizing gold on Flares. There's Aurelia, who's going to get some tank items real soon. Frozen Heart's almost done. The parts of the Banshee's not far away either. Could be a very disruptive and hard to take down Aurelia.
And that's the thing, too, is he was also behind in the early game.
Yeah.
He was down 2 levels. Now he's up in CS, 40 CS. He's down in kills, but the thing is now he's even in experience. They're both hit 14. They're both at the start of 14 as well.
Yeah. At 14.2 for these guys.
But a different level advantage I want to talk about is Inox. He's 16 to the 14 of Gate.
Oh, wow.
So he has that rank 3 ultimate that he's just going to rain down on and try to poke Final 5 off of turrets, and he has the Luden's Echo completed.
Yep, Luden's poke. Here comes the TP. Scion flank, though. They need Flares to join the team, and
Trashy
the ulti hits Trashy, but it's a tank. Who cares? Otter kites around doing what he can. Rux takes some damage, but they actually manage to catch Flares in the teleport. They go for him first, and he goes on down. Here's the re-engage. Rux trades his life. Both top laners are dead.
Trashy still has ulti.
A bit of the target. Impaler's got to flash away, though. Trashy flashes in, knocks in Nidalee. What a great fight there. NME Esports get their second kill of the battle. They want a siege.
The fact they all collapsed and then Flares TPing in distracted the backline of Final 5 so they couldn't collapse. This might be them getting into that Baron area. It's going to be really rough for them to do.
There's still a lot of tools, though. Gate has ulti, Sheep can hook, and Veritas has the rocket as well. Inox will play zoning duty, but he's on top of the ward for this one, so playmaking very possible here.
He's just trying to poke them out. He's trying to keep his zone so they can't get in.
Hook's gonna miss. Baron down to 5 from health by left corner. You can see the health bar getting lower and lower. Veritas can nearly one-shot Trashy with the ultimate. They're going to find Inox here. This could be Rux. Sheep goes down. Rocket catches one. There's the cleanup. Veritas gets a second. Otter's going to drop as well. 3 kills picked up. The chase is still on. Inox, though, bursts them out.
Whoa.
Wow. 3 for 2 fight. The battle overall goes even. And NME Esports walk away.
Man, that ooze just melting him. That was acid ooze right there with the Luden's Echo. Man, I thought Veritas was going to clean up, but no.
AP Cog got to command respect, man.
Just threw up all over him, and he's done. That's it. AP Kog'Maw is a little disgusting.
A little bit.
Literally, and I guess, in a...
Yeah, in a... Wow, that's a lot of damage sense.
Yeah.
I got you.
I guess that's literally and literally? I don't know.
No, it's a metaphor. It's like a metaphor.
Yeah.
Because you're not actually disgusted by Kog'Maw's damage. You're just like,
I am.
I guess you could be. I just like to think it's cool.
But I'm also disgusted by his CS, because he's 100 CS up over his lane opponent right now.
Yeah.
31 minutes in the game. He's at that 10 per minute mark.
What are you laughing at now?
He's doing such a good job on this Kog'Maw against an Urgot. And we talked about how Urgot, we don't know the counter for him yet. Maybe it's AP Kog'Maw. Maybe it's the fact that he can stay out of the Noxian Corrosive charge range for so long.
Yeah. Well, not getting denied, getting tier into Morella Namicon. Plenty of mana regen here. And it's interesting because the general trend of this game is the teams seem to be fighting pretty close to equal, but NME Esports are just securing more farm. Down the line, everyone's pretty much out CSing their opposite except for Impaler here, who's just managed to prioritize a little bit more farm, but 50 minion lead for Flares, 100 minion lead for Inox, another 30 minion lead for Otter. That's a lot of money just extra going to NME Esports.
They're kind of bleeding gold to Enemy at this point if they're not picking up their side waves and having them crash against turrets.
Yep.
Because Enemy have been farming up the sides, wave clearing with the Kog'Maw, wave clearing with Sivir, and then grouping up.
Right.
Final 5, though, I do want to touch on this because they caught them at the Baron, which is a really good fight for them. They cleaned up a bit, and they stopped that attempt, and now they have to start answering what Enemy are doing just like that. Because if they're pushing, you have to find a way to do it, because Rux isn't always going to have teleport. You can't always make those plays, and then look at that. They lose it because they're getting out-rotated.
They are. It's really good by NME Esports here. Sion does not find the flank he wants. That hook was heartbreaking. It caught a minion, sadly. It was a really good flame chomper and everything else, but Flares stays safe.
They swept it. There they go. Righteous Glory.
Sheep slowed down, hooks Flares in the face, and Rux gets a couple man ulti, but it's going to be one kill already picked up by Otter. Rocket comes in, does almost no damage. It only hits the 2 tanks here. And every one of NME Esports fairly safe to keep going down mid. And I don't know if this is a good rotation here for Final 5. Flares will cut them off, so will Trashy, who still holds the ultimate. And these guys have to recall to defend the inhibitor.
Trashy's just face tanking all of the ultimates from Rux.
Yep.
As soon as the Sion ultimate comes out, he willingly walks into it so his carries don't get hit by it.
Drop catches Veritas, though. Hold on, they turn right away and catch the Jinx base gate. Ends up being a betrayal, and the inhibitor turret will go down, likely the inhib too.
This game was so close for 25 minutes, and then Enemy have been showing that their team fighting, the way that they're handling this team comp, is just a little bit superior.
Just their overall map play. It's a risk-averse style, but it's paying off where they are prioritizing minion wave control first. We can do other stuff afterwards. And you can see Final 5 slower to realize that a lot of the time.
But here's the thing is, when you control the minion waves, and Final 5 are lacking wave clear like I touched on, because you really need that Sion and that Jinx grouped up to deal with the waves. If you're pushing all 3 waves, you only have 2 people who can really deal with it. If the Urgot is by himself clearing, it's a slow wave clear on Urgot.
Yep. He's always going to be behind Inox, and you can kind of see that here, where sometimes he just has to give up that farm because he's got to go do something else, and NME Esports with a high wave clear comp doing quite well. Yeah, you see, nice easy wave clear.
Flares is even treating Aurelia like an AoE wave clear.
Sure,
when he's throwing out his ultimate. But look at this. They see this, though.
Don't work. Rex doesn't even click the lantern. Come on. It's right there.
He still wants to stay in the front line, just in case.
Just in case, I guess. Red buff. Oh. Body drop gets stopped. Okay, so it is worth keeping in mind, though, that a lot of kills have still gone to Veritas. We've talked about how NME Esports are playing the rotations. They've taken down middle inhibitor. Baron probably on the plate pretty soon. But the team fight power is still here. Rux is still huge. Veritas is at 3 items right now on this Jinx and can break down tanks who don't have a lot of armor items really. In fact, there are no armor items for Trashy and only really one for Flares. So the Jinx potential does exist, but it's going to be still really hard for Final 5.
But Gragas is going to take reduced damage just at all
for like
points.
2 seconds, right?
Yeah, it's a decent amount in the team fight when he gets in there.
2.5.
Yeah.
To be fair, I just say 3.6 second cooldown with his CDR, so like it'll be back up soon. But there's a bit of that. See a bunch of damage can be dealt during those windows. The poke, Inox unafraid, really just spamming R and Gate, loses some health for it. But Impaler,
they have to deal with super minions now.
Yep.
At the same time, this team already struggled with wave clear.
And you can see that NME Esports using that wave clear advantage, using the minion pressure advantage to say, okay, you're all mid. We can see Flares versus Sion in the bot lane. Let's get ward control back. Upgraded sweeper, walk around, get some pink wards down. Easy peasy. They know they are not going to be contested for this, and they just keep getting better and better vision. Now they've got Baron basically blacked out. And it means that when they choose to go for Baron, Final 5 won't know if it's a bait or a rush.
The fact they got all that ward coverage out means they can go between middle and top.
Yeah.
There's nothing for them to take middle, but Final 5 still have to throw people at that mid lane because of the fact that it has no inhibitor and super minions barreling down it. Both TPs to the top, though. We're going to see a fight very soon, very short.
Esports wants it on this wave. The backline healthy enough to contribute in a battle. The hook on the Trashy. Will that be the one to go for? Gets out. Gate gets ulted, gets jumped on. He will stay alive, though, and Flares gets swapped into the back line. Now, is it going to be enough? Rux buys some time. Otter stays for the inhibitor turret, and they get it. The mid lane's already been pushed in, so it's an easy rotation, and Rux will be the target and gets killed. 1-0, and the inhibitor turret is down. Enemy Esports still inside the base, and that means 2 inhibitors.
They just kite backwards. They separate really well, and the fact that Otter's allocating all his damage to the turret and not the team fight, and still Final 5 cannot deal with what enemy are throwing at them is really confusing for me, because the fact that that's a huge amount of damage that's not in the fight. Is Inox really doing that much damage as his AP?
Yes.
Apparently so.
Inox is softening everyone up, and the problem is Final 5 just don't have enough damage to supplement Jinx when she can only hit tanks in the front line, and you're seeing the result of that here. They catch Trashy, they swap Flares, nothing happens to them. And the, wow, great flash done, Sheep's gone, Gate's gone as well. Now do they choose Baron once again? Do they choose the base? Baron once again.
I guess you never expect somebody to dodge a hook by flashing into you.
What happened here? Trashy going to try to block Impaler's attempts, and he's going to go right in for that one. Flare's now playing zoning duty.
Veritas.
He's got to be a bit afraid. Oki's in, catches body drop. Can he get more? It's a difficult question for him. Root's Trashy, but it's going to be hard to kill that tank. Otter gets crit, though, and holy crap, Veritas gets 3. Inox is pretty screwed as well. Flashes away. No Baron attempt available, but Veritas keeps turning up in these Barons.
Nidalee, Impaler, they still have him up. They have a tank.
Oh my god,
they have a tank, they have a smite, and they have a main DPS here at the Baron. It's just Flares.
They're losing some magic resistant armor, though, with the Baron damage slowly taking up on these guys. Flare's still around.
Doesn't have a lot of mana left.
Pokes, Rux tanky, but Impaler's very low. That becomes actually a bit of an issue as Baron continues to whittle down to them. 5,000 health left. Trashy's up in 15. Flares and Inox just have what they've got here. Veritas still getting contested. Flares, the burst comes in, goes for the stun, almost takes him down, but another kill goes in. But minions are knocking down turrets, actually. One has actually fallen. No smite left. Inox can't possibly get it, and it will be Baron to Final 5 with it down to 1 Nexus turret.
That's going to help them hold their base, though. With these Baron buffed up minions, they're not going to die as quickly, and they get to have that sustained wave clear. Enemy, with a bit of a misplay there, bit of a desperation Baron. They could have held off because they had 2 inhibitors with super minions coming down. Veritas plays this fight immaculately. The way he positions that, he knows the flash is down because he flashed onto Sheep. Now, the crits he gets from this and the AoE damage, that's an AoE crit because of the way that the Jinx rocket works. Those crits in a row. Oh, man. And that's why they should center the team more around Veritas, this Jinx, this hyper carry, this top challenger solo queue player. And knows how to carry games.
They're trying, and as we talked about follow-up damage, there's so many things that go into the equation. We don't have time to talk about all of them. I like Black Cleaver Urgot for helping Jinx carry. we talk about like protect the cog comps, like, oh yeah, you get a bunch of supports, you get a Nunu, you get a Janna, you get a Lulu, you can pick an Urgot and shred someone's armor for your AD carry, right? Impaler can help too, Gate can help as well, you've got a Frozen Heart to slow people down. Like, there's these elements here that turn Veritas into a bigger carry than you might expect. The problem is the fights don't last long enough for that to matter, because the front line of Final 5, it's only Rux. They can bypass him and just kill Sheep, they can kill Impaler, they can kill Gate, and until these guys tank up a bit more, Final 5 don't survive long enough for Jinx to carry. Once more, the fight begins over Dragon.
There's Righteous Glory. Rux is the only one in the front. They're going to try to shred through him with their damage.
And look at that! He's down to 1,000 health already. You can't contest this composition. Top inhibitor, by the way, is still dead. Rux has to recall with Home Guards to defend the Nexus. It's going to be Dragon number 4 over to NME Esports. Nothing Final 5 can do.
The fact that Rux is just getting chunked out, it's a multi-threat composition.
Well, he's stacked armor.
They're not just armor, exactly. He has Banshee's Veil though, but
he went Frozen Heart and Randuin's.
He still has 2 items to buy though, so he'll get tankier. He's going to put more into that magic resist, because right now he's just getting shredded by Inox. Also, to supplement your point on the Black Cleaver,
yeah,
Noxian Corrosive Charge shreds percentage armor as well. So all of that
and
on
even
top
picks
of it.
Black Cleaver for you.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's
really, really good buy on Urgot, and it definitely helps your AD carries damage by an immense amount.
Yeah, you're gonna get, I'm gonna say 35% bonus damage with a fully stacked Black Cleaver in E is roughly the damage uptick you're getting for an AD carry against a reasonably high armor target. NME Esports just nursing this 5,000 gold lead. They've got Dragon 4. If they want to play it slow, let the inhib respawn. They are only 5 minutes away from Dragon 5. And Dragon 5 with a Kog'Maw, ludicrously easy to apply the dot. You will chunk people out, and life will be painful. Veritas, you can see, getting finally some magic resist. He's done a good job of dodging the Cog poke, but at a certain point, Inox is going to land it, and it's going to suck. Gate loses his entire shield for just an E. Keeps getting hit, loses 400 health.
It's just more and more and more, and they're just going after this turret and chunking it down slowly. Here comes Rux, though. He's going to block it.
That was so sick. He goes in with Spell Shield and stops it out. Gate gets stunned, but he's fairly tanky. Swaps in Flares. Rux in the front line. Flares still getting hit up. Rux survives it. Nice stop on the rocket, but it still means his turret is 1 hit from dead.
They have to go to their mid lane, too. Their mid lane has a big minion wave there.
Yeah.
That they have to clear. It wouldn't take this inhibitor, but it would still do a large amount of damage to it. They don't want it softened up at all.
No, not at all. You can see that these fights are getting a bit closer. Now, the turret helped, to be fair. That was a bit of a thing in the edge of Final 5, but you can see, again, the beef of NME Esports. You swap in the Aurelia. She still lives.
She's going to still live next time, too, because she just purchased a GA.
Oh, man.
Whoa. Oh, Challenger scene, we love our wave clear.
Sometimes when I'm Sivir, I attack 3 times and just wait, and I'm just like, watch this ricochet. And it just like kills 17 minions and I just wait as it jumps around. It's a pretty fun situation. Yeah, a lot of money. I do want to see Otter eventually sell Shiv for Phantom Dancer, but that's going to be in a while here. It's not worth the cost of selling and rebuying until he gets the rest of his items upgraded, but just getting damage output, because look, Sion and Urgot, they're getting to that tank point pretty soon. Frozen Heart's not far away.
Oh man.
On Gate anymore.
Trashy. Those spears hit his belly and they just tickle.
So they're looking for Gate. He was wave clearing the bottom lane slowly, of course. Gets a lantern though, thankfully. Trashy can't catch him in time.
Nice lantern there by Sheep. Not a nice hook though on the backside of it.
It's okay though. And again, Dragon 3 minutes away. NME Esports do not have to push this. They can just purely play for vision control in South Jungle. Yes, Baron's up first, but they don't have to play for it. And Final 5 can't reliably go for Baron themselves either. I don't think. It would be a huge risk to leave your base for Baron. I think you want to wait for one more big item to be done here. It looks like, I think it's Thornmail for Rux. So he's not getting MR. He's not trying to deal with the poke of Inox whatsoever.
Well,
Maybe it's GA.
Inox will also get auto attacks off with percent HP magic damage. So
yeah, his W does 15% max health per auto, and without building any attack speed items, he's at 1.16 attacks per second, so yeah, it's a good amount of damage.
Yeah, it's a really good amount. I was going to say before resistances, but it doesn't have that many. It's just that little bit of magic.
There's no Void Staff yet. So.
Yeah.
still 7% max health after resist is a pretty high number.
Double Righteous Glory here for NME. And the Sivir ultimate. There's a lot of mobility on this team. And the big thing about that is Final 5 don't really have a good way to answer it. When the front line gets inside of their back line very quickly, it's hard to disengage it. The Jinx, Chompers, and Thresh and kiting backwards. But here's the thing is Final 5 are usually the ones charging into the fight.
Yeah.
They're usually starting it, trying to force the issue, just because enemy are getting advantages off of rotating.
That's true. Well, NME Esports, interesting choice here. Body Drop actually does not go the Ascension build we see Lustboy typically do on Annie. He's actually going to go for a late Frost Queen's Claim to add more crowd control to the suite. I'm not sure if it is the right choice, but with Final 5 rushing in a lot, the slows will sometimes be very useful. Rux gets stunned, Flair's just playing the trading game. You don't expect much damage to be dealt on either side here, and that answer looks to be very little. Flair's with a late Ruin King, I think, in his build, though. He's got a dagger right now in inventory.
That or a Zephyr. Summerelli.
He buys a lot of Zephyrs.
Yeah.
He buys them on Hecarim, too, and not a fan. Okay, Otter out of items. He will be able to eventually now sell for Phantom Dancer. Oh, wow, that swap! Oh,
QSS.
that QSS was really good, yeah.
I saw him by the QSS, and I was like, is that for the Thresh hook? I guess it is, but also the suppression from Urgot allows him to break that. Urgot still gets the resistances, though.
Sure, he gets some nice stats, but his flash is down for another 4 minutes.
Oh,
Body Drop looks for the engage, but nice chompers by Veritas buy a bit of time. Sivir to re-engage, flashes, catches the stun on the Sheep, and down goes the support. No, he flashes in time and pops the ulti. Good block by Inox to keep the rocket away from his AD carry. NME Esports, Dragon is up now. They took a fight, they got some damage done back and forth. Sheep's low, but Dragon is theirs for the taking.
Baron and Dragon are both up right now. They're going to go send Otter
good.
by himself. The AD carry can solo this. There isn't actually vision control from Final 5 to know that this is being done.
Until it falls, the buff goes on. NME Esports, though, feeling a bit afraid. I think they should because Final 5 are trying to contest.
Inox's poke is huge right now.
And there it is. That
There's
is
the
Dragon
big Dragon.
50 true damage per second for 3 seconds. Flair's about to find Impaler, Q's in. And Impaler's, I think, going to die here. There's the slow. One more Q is up now and gets the kill. The recall's coming in for Final 5. They did not get chased out, but double inhib take is basically a guarantee here. And Inox going to join the team now as well. 5 versus only 2. Final 5 just have their carry lanes to go, and they swap Body Drop, but no, he stays alive thanks to a stun. Gate gets exploded. Rux in the fight. Veritas forced to run away. Can't possibly carry this fight anymore. Dodges a little bit of Cogmod damage, but there's the explosion. There's the shutdown, and finally, after a grueling battle, NME Esports take game 1. One more, and they're in the finals.
47 minutes and 45 seconds is what it took.
Yep.
Lot longer than what Enemy were expected to do. And Final 5, considering their last week's performance against Enemy, they came out swinging here. We had with a very defined game plan. The Urgot pick on blue side. Also, they put a lot of resources into Veritas. 8-4-4 on the Jinx. He was very close to carrying this game.
Yeah, he had a pretty good game overall on Jinx. The cleanups were good. Some of that was over-aggression by NME Esports, taking a lot of Barons they really didn't have to. But it was really nice. So, NME Esports, you know, they played the map well as we expect.
Yeah.
First Dragon, first couple of turrets. No, sorry, first couple of kills, actually. Their ganks, especially from Trashy, so darn good. He made so much happen for the team. Early game lead, all his credit. All his credit, wonderful play. But it was like the Fusion game from yesterday. NME Esports set their sights on Baron, and every single time, basically, it backfired.
Yeah.
Every single time, Baron backfired for these guys. And they had to fall back to the Dragon win condition, which eventually did work.
They were lucky that they had put themselves so far ahead when they did that Baron. Because that Baron could have been a comeback there for Veritas. Veritas actually had 19.3 thousand gold, and the highest person on the enemy team was
19.8, 19.7.
19.8, 19.7. He was 500 gold closer.
Behind,
Yeah, 500 gold behind.
The most member of the game.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
But also, the big part of that is there are turrets that fell into the hands of Enemy. Way more turrets that game. So he was getting kills, he was getting the gold, he was getting the farm for himself without that extra global gold. Which is just a big, kind of just talks about how much they were putting into Veritas.
He's the wave clear, right? When you're the team on the defensive, your best wave clear gets all the gold. And unsurprisingly, Jinx crits a caster wave and it goes down and he gets all the money. But this, to me, speaks a little bit to again, the way the mid game is getting played. So Baron mistakes notwithstanding, Final 5, NME Esports put a higher priority on wave control. They were getting more farm. Some of that's the champion picks. Some of that's the fact that Urgot's going to have a harder time late game against AP Cog. But the minions kept going enemies' way. The farm kept going their way. And then the ability to move around the map because of that wave control kept going enemies' way. And it was a couple of missteps that kept the game close. But otherwise, it was enemies' game to control from 10 minutes on.
Yeah, I really like the AP Cog. It got through the laning phase. They ganked it with the double jungle immediately to put him ahead. So Inox had a really good game where he was unharassed in the mid lane and able to get to his power points and his power spikes where he can just lob poke at them. And he was very effective at landing his poke and managing his mana.
Yeah, absolutely. And I got to say, I was very impressed by Inox.
Very consistent performer regardless of what champion he gets put on. I haven't seen a bad performance from him yet on a mid lane champion.
I agree with you entirely.
I'm trying to think about it.
I mean, to be fair, though, he did double his average deaths per game this game. 7, 2, and 9. What a scumbag. Only had 8 KDA this game? Lowering his average? Inox, what are you doing, homie? It's playoffs. You got to step up your game here. But no, seriously, Final 5, obviously a very good game from them. Gate, his Urgot, unfortunately didn't seem to do much. He did get outlaned. Most people get outlaned by Inox, to be fair, but that sort of rabbit out of the hat didn't seem to pay off for these guys, unfortunately. And it felt like Urgot was largely powerless, where he couldn't find, like, he would swap in Aurelia, and Aurelia wouldn't die. He'd swap in Gragas, Gragas couldn't die. He'd swap Sivir, Sivir had a QSS. There was basically one good swap in that Western jungle by their blue buff, 30-ish minutes in, that was good. But otherwise, honestly, I didn't see Urgot do much.
This was one of the best teams I've seen at handling an Urgot mid pick. Pressure it early, blow its flash, immobile mid laner, he's gankable again. So just put that threat on him, and then the Urgot pressure early game is completely wiped out. So Kog'Maw gets ahead, Kog'Maw just pokes the entire game. You buy QSS on priorities later on, so even when he does flash and then swaps in, you just QSS it, so you traded a flash for a 90-second cooldown.
Well, this is what was so cool about the team comp is, think about the Urgot and the Annie picks. You've got two pretty darn reliable, stop channeling. And that happened so many times. And the thing is, you talked about QSS and priority targets, but Inox didn't buy one. He just kept buying ability power.
Oh, he just stayed in the back, way back.
I mean, obviously, like, he's playing way back, just, throwing from the half-court line. But the fact that if a flash swap ever happened, Trash was there to throw a barrel in. Or Body Drop was there to toss Tibbers down, or whatever spell he wants to use to trigger his passive. And that was repeatedly done by NME Esports to nullify. You talked about how well they handled Urgot. I agree. The champ select and the way they play those champions was really impressive. We get to keep singing enemies' praises because they won the game and they still look like that top team and challenger. But we have to, commend Final 5 for making it a closer game than we thought. They played the lane swap, I would say, a bit better in terms of getting the turret kills, getting a lot of XP denial. Rux got into lane 2 levels up, got to have an early push lead. But unfortunately, Final 5 couldn't keep the pressure up. NME Esports did win through, I would say, better mid-game play. Now, guys are going to step away for 3.5 minutes while the players get ready for the next champion select. But when we return, NME Esports looks to punch their ticket to the championship with one more victory against Final 5. Don't go anywhere. Gets the Dragon, Sion gets in for a bit, and Flares gets locked up. Annie ult onto the back line. Now, where's the damage going to come through? Big Jinx up, but doesn't knock anyone down. This could be Rux. Sheep goes down. Rocket catches one. There's the cleanup. Veritas gets a second. Otter's going to drop as well. 3 kills picked up. Root's trashy, but it's going to be hard to kill that tank. Otter gets crit, though, and holy crap, Veritas gets 3. Dodges a little bit of Kog'Maw damage, but there's the explosion. There's the shutdown, and finally,